You're listening to the Marne Report.
Hey, Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. It's Brian Lunn here with another edition of the Marne Report Podcast. And today we do have a big crowd. We have Captain Brown in the building. We also have Sergeant First Class Payne. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
It's great to have you guys. So today's topic, we want to talk about anti-terrorism. As you guys know, August is Anti-Terrorism Month. So before we hop into it, can you guys talk a little bit about what you guys do around the rock?
So I'm Sergeant First Class Payne. I'm the Correction Detention NCO. I also am one of the SMEs for physical security and anti-terrorism for the division. Really, I do program management. I help the team with what does the regulation state and how can we implement that throughout our ranks. So
yes, sir.
That's what I do.
And I'm Captain Brown, and I'm the operations officer, and I focus on the process and procedures of how the PMO operates and runs throughout the installation.
Yeah, perfect. So, like I said before, this is Anti-Terrorism Month, which is going to be in August. So what does Fort Stewart contribute to that?
So for our Anti-Terrorism Month, we want to spread our awareness, continue to conduct training in order to keep a situational awareness for our threats to us.
And usually during August, they'll do like a installation-wide drill across the installation, multiple sections, and they'll respond to whatever that incident is, depending on what they plan.
Yeah, exactly. And so anti-terrorism is always evolving. As we know, things change rapidly. So how have you guys seen in the recent years the landscape of terrorism?
So terrorism is a tactic. It's not really an entity. And, the last 20 plus years, it was COIN, counterinsurgency. It recently, with the war in Ukraine, we see, near peer and peer conflict on the rise. We also see, here at home, it's not really, when we think about terrorism, we think abroad,
right.
But really we have, domestic extremism here, homegrown terrorism. And in 2017, the federal government passed a bill or initiated a bill on domestic terrorism, but it was focusing on, far left, far right wing extremism.
Right.
And then you see that, January 6th was a clear indication of that. So hasn't really changed. The landscape hasn't really changed. It's still here. It's just we see new technology, right? We see that kind of stuff. We see the aggression because terrorism is just instilling fear in a nation, change policy, or to coerce the government. Whatever their plan is, that's what terrorism is. It's still here. It hasn't really changed. It's just, like you said, evolving.
Right, and so I guess to that point of evolving, do you think technology plays a part in that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So then what ways do you believe you've seen technology, I guess, either aiding this or helping us contribute to that?
So technology, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Right. After
9/11, we implemented, screening, enhanced screening, airports, ports, anywhere where we're going to bring people in through the country. So increased screening there. We have increased surveillance techniques, but those surveillance techniques are used on both sides. Near peer and peer conflict, they're doing the same thing that we're doing. Right. So surveillance-wise, terrorism, they're collecting information on us all the time, just like we're trying to collect on the adversary.
Yes, sir.
Additionally, you'll see with the war in Ukraine, they're using drones. I think even outside of terrorism, I think Amazon in New York is using drones to deliver packages. There's criminal organizations that are dropping packages in prisons for their counterparts who got locked up. So technology is just evolving so much that they can use it. We can use it for good or we can use it for bad.
Right.
Which side of the fence do you fall on?
And so you touched on it a little bit. So I guess what are some of the security risks that come with this?
So with our security risks, that can mean different things for different organizations and people. Security is a state of being free from danger or threats, and then risk is a situation involving exposure of danger or harm. For security risk, it's any potential situation that could put a person, organization, or nation at risk to them or at risk of harm. Harm could mean physical, mental, property, information, etc. One person could think a security risk is anything that deals with a physical or mental well-being, to include their home or loved ones, where another person could consider a physical or a security risk as something viewed online, like banking, social media, business, emails. For an organization, organizations can view security risks as an insider threat, like someone who uses their authorized access to harm the organization, to include workplace violence, espionage, sabotage, threats, cyber attacks. Just some examples of security risks would be wearing a badge to a secure area outside of the secure area,
right.
not checking people as they enter a facility as required by FPCON Bravo, plugging in or hooking secured equipment up to an unsecured line, and then just any vehicles left in a no parking zone close to an important area or building. These are just a few examples, not all.
Right, and so to those security risks, I believe the main purpose of this month is to raise awareness. So to our listeners, what are some ways that they can stay aware, making sure they're doing their due diligence?
We encourage vigilance to prevent, avoid, combat terrorist attacks through reporting, promoting education and information to our soldiers and how they can respond during violent acts when they occur to protect themselves, their family, and their organization.
From your guys' time here, what do you believe are some misconceptions you've seen as it pertains to anti-terrorism?
So terrorism is not one-sided. Anyone could be a threat.
Right.
That's like the biggest thing. I mean, on the outside, they may look like they belong.
Right.
But what are their intentions? That's
you never really
indicators,
know,
right?
Yeah.
So like going through TARP training. TARP training is super important because it ties everything in. What are those indicators of an insider threat?
Right.
What to look for? Who to contact? Right. A lot of people think like, oh, this is this person's up to no good, whatever. I want to contact the MPs. When in reality, they should contact counterintelligence because those are the guys that handle it. Unless there's an actual federal crime, then you would contact military police versus, they're doing espionage or they're just poking around asking questions that doesn't seem right. That's counterintelligence.
Right.
They work together, but they're not the same.
And so do you guys specifically do any events or extra to get this message out to people?
Outside of August, right? It's enduring. It's all the time. You have your online training that's once a year, and everybody's online training is going to be different unless you're locked into a rotation for UCOM or whatever. Then it's going to kind of be, it's a requirement for deployment. So just having that, there's other things too, just putting out orders. We're doing, hey, we have anti-terrorism coming up this quarter. All brigades need to send X amount of names to this course so that they're trained. They have a subject matter expert. So we're doing it all the time. It's part of just our organization of what we do. And
so as we kind of transition to wrapping up this podcast, what's a message you would like to leave our listeners or something you believe they should know about August and Anti-Terrorism Month?
So biggest thing is if you see something, you hear something seems off, you need to report it. iSalute is a means for military, civilian, and contractor personnel to report the threat, related incidences or terrorist threats directly to counterintelligence. Feeds right to them, and then they usually get followed up that day or within that couple of days. iWatch is another online version. You can do that. It's a version of like Neighborhood Watch.
Okay.
More now. I don't know how to say that.
Like up to date,
Yeah,
real time.
Yeah. Up-to-date version of Neighborhood Watch, something you can do just like iSalute on your phone real quick. And then the other one is 1-800-CALL SPY. Okay. And then we're just going to further collaborate with Garrison and ensure that Fort Stewart community, half community, is protected.
And that's the main point is we want to make sure that our community, our soldiers are just staying safe. People are just, if they see something, say something, and just keeping everybody just aware of any potential threats. So with that, I want to thank you guys again for coming on this podcast, taking the time to talk with me. And for our listeners, I hope that you can take something away from this as we head into this month. And this is something you can use year-round, as he said before. This is not just August. This is something that's very enduring. So thank you guys again, and that's going to wrap up another edition of this podcast. See you guys next week.
The Digital Garrison app is your one-stop source for all things Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. With the DG at your fingertips, you'll never miss out on upcoming events, installation updates, facility and gate information, weather, shopping, and so much more. Digital Garrison is free from your phone's app store. Download today.